Good day, everyone, and welcome to our Egyptian escapade. Join us, the Smiths, as we swap drizzle for desert and navigate the Nile.
The kids haven't stopped with the wows since we arrived.
We've ridden camels, bartered in bustling souks, and even had a go at deciphering ancient hieroglyphs.
And the food? We've developed quite the addiction to cautionary, and I'm pretty sure we've single-handedly kept a falafel stall in business. So buckle up and get ready for an adventure of a lifetime, Egyptian style. Now, before we get carried away with all the excitement, let's talk a bit about safety and practicality.
We found the Egyptian people to be incredibly welcoming and helpful, but it never hurts to be cautious, especially in crowded tourist areas. Keep a close eye on your belongings, avoid carrying large amounts of cash, and be wary of anyone approaching you with unsolicited offers.
Right, now that we've got that covered, let's dive into the heart of our Egyptian adventure. Well, folks, nothing quite prepares you for the sheer scale and grandeur of the Pyramids of Giza.
The kids were mesmerized, especially young Sam, who spent the entire time trying to count the blocks.
And of course, no trip to the pyramids would be complete without a visit to the enigmatic Sphinx. We even splurged on a camel ride, much to the delight of our youngest, Emily, who swore her camel winked at her. It was a truly humbling experience, standing in the shadow of these ancient wonders. No trip to Egypt would be complete without a cruise down the mighty Nile, the lifeblood of this ancient land.
The kids were captivated by the passing scenery. Lush green fields, traditional villages, ancient temples seemingly rising out of the desert sands. We even spotted a few crocodiles basking on the banks, though thankfully at a safe distance.
It was a truly unforgettable experience, a chance to connect with the rhythm of the Nile, the very essence of Egypt. Now, while the pyramids and the Nile are absolute must-sees, Cairo has so much more to offer than just ancient wonders.
We spent a fascinating morning at the Egyptian Museum, home to an astounding collection of artifacts from ancient Egypt, including the treasures of Tutankhamun. The kids were particularly taken with the mummies, though I think Emily was slightly terrified by the thought of being wrapped in bandages for all eternity.
We also ventured into the heart of Islamic Cairo, exploring the labyrinthine alleyways of Khan el-Khalili, a bustling bazaar overflowing with spices, perfumes, and traditional crafts. Now, let's talk about the food, shall we? Because let me tell you, Egypt is an absolute paradise for adventurous eaters.
From bustling street markets with tantalizing aromas to charming restaurants with white linen tablecloths, there's something to tickle everyone's fancy.
We made it our mission to sample as much local cuisine as possible, and believe me, our taste buds were dancing the night away.
One thing we learned quickly: come hungry. Egyptian portions are generous, to say the least.
Right, let's talk about cautionary, because this dish deserves its own fan club.
Sounds simple, right? Don't let that fool you. Cautionary is a symphony of textures and flavors, a true Egyptian icon.
We found ourselves craving it at all hours, and luckily for us, cautionary is everywhere in Egypt, from humble street carts to bustling restaurants. The kids couldn't get enough of it. Even our picky eater, Emily, was shoveling it in with gusto. Now, while we loved our street food adventures, we also had some fantastic experiences at more traditional restaurants.
One place that stands out is name of the restaurant, a charming eatery in the heart of Cairo.
We feasted on traditional dishes like molokhia, a rich garlicky stew made with jute leaves, grilled lamb with fragrant rice, and a colourful array of metzes that were bursting with flavour.
Another gem we stumbled upon was name of the restaurant, a family-run restaurant in location.
Egypt isn't just a feast for the eyes and the stomach, it's a symphony for the ears as well. From the moment we stepped onto Egyptian soil, we were greeted by a vibrant tapestry of sound.
One evening, as we wandered through the Khan el-Khalili market, we stumbled upon a group of musicians performing in a dimly lit courtyard.
Emily, our resident dancer, couldn't resist tapping her feet to the rhythm, and soon enough she dragged her brother and father onto the makeshift dance floor. It was a truly magical experience. A reminder that music transcends language and culture. Traditional music and chanting, creating an atmosphere that was both hypnotic and exhilarating.
We learned that the Tanura dance has Sufi origins, representing the whirling of the planets and the journey of the soul towards enlightenment.
Now, after all that history and culture, we were ready for some serious relaxation, Egyptian style.
We based ourselves in Sharm el-Sheikh, a bustling resort town known for its crystal-clear waters, vibrant coral reefs, and abundance of water sports.
The kids were in their element, spending their days snorkeling amongst colorful fish, building sandcastles worthy of pharaohs, and splashing about in the warm, inviting waters.
Even I, a man who's more comfortable in a museum than a pair of swimming trunks, couldn't resist the allure of the Red Sea. Now, while lounging on the beach was all well and good, we're an adventurous bunch at heart, and we couldn't resist the call of the wild.
So we packed our hiking boots and set off for the Sinai Peninsula, a land of stark beauty, ancient history, and thrilling outdoor adventures.
We opted for a pre-dawn hike to catch the sunrise from the summit, and let me tell you, it was worth every step.
The air was crisp and cool, and the silence was broken only by our footsteps and the occasional bleating of a goat.
The view was simply breathtaking, a panorama of jagged peaks, vast deserts, and the Red Sea shimmering in the distance.
For those who prefer 2 wheels to 2 feet, the Sinai Peninsula also offers some fantastic mountain biking trails. Now, no trip to Egypt would be complete without experiencing the magic of the desert.
We joined a camel caravan into the heart of the Sinai Desert, led by a wizened old Bedouin guide who seemed to know the desert like the back of his hand.
The camels, despite their grumpy-looking faces, proved to be surprisingly comfortable mounts, swaying rhythmically as they carried us across the undulating sand dunes.
As the sun began its descent, painting the sky in hues of orange, pink and purple, we stopped at a traditional Bedouin camp. We were welcomed with open arms and treated to a feast of traditional Bedouin fair-grilled meats, flatbreads and sweet mint tea. All served under a canopy of a million twinkling stars. Now, while the ancient monuments are a sight to behold, Egypt's artistic legacy extends far beyond towering temples and imposing statues.
We spent a fascinating afternoon at the Museum of Islamic Art in Cairo, marveling at the exquisite calligraphy, intricate mosaics, and delicate ceramics.
Even young Emily, who usually prefers digging in the sand to strolling through museums, was captivated by the beauty and craftsmanship on display.
It's easy to get swept up in the grandeur of the pyramids, but taking the time to appreciate the finer details of Egyptian art adds another layer of understanding. Now, let's be honest, museums aren't always the easiest sell for young adventurers.
We stumbled upon a gem of a place called the Pharaonic Village, an open-air museum that brings ancient Egypt to life through interactive exhibits and live demonstrations.
They even got to dress up as little pharaohs, parading around with miniature scepters and demanding snacks in their best and rather unconvincing royal accents.
The Pharaonic Village was a fantastic way to make history come alive for our little explorers, proving that learning can be just as fun as it is fascinating. Now, getting around Egypt is an adventure in itself. From the moment you step off the plane, you're greeted with a symphony of honking horns, bustling crowds, and a bewildering array of transport options. But don't let that intimidate you, because navigating this ancient land is all part of the fun.
For longer distances, we found domestic flights to be surprisingly affordable and efficient. We hopped on a quick flight from Cairo to Luxor, soaring over the verdant Nile Valley and catching glimpses of ancient temples from the air. It was a bird's-eye view of history in the making.
Trains are another great option, especially for overnight journeys. We took the sleeper train from Luxor to Aswan, lulled to sleep by the rhythmic clatter of the tracks and waking up to stunning views of the Nile at sunrise. It felt like travelling back in time, a romantic notion that even the kids, snuggled up in their bunks, seemed to appreciate. Section 2, City Slickers navigating Cairo's urban jungle.
Now, Cairo, that's a whole other story.
This bustling metropolis, a captivating blend of ancient and modern, can feel a bit overwhelming at first glance. But fear not, intrepid explorers, because getting around Cairo is easier than you might think.
We quickly discovered the joys of Uber and Careem, ride-hailing apps that are a lifesaver in a city where haggling with taxi drivers can be a sport in itself.
A few taps on our phones, and we had a comfortable, air-conditioned ride whisking us through the city's labyrinthine streets.
For shorter jaunts, we embraced the local way of life and hopped on microbuses, those brightly coloured vans that zip through the city like caffeinated cheetahs. It's not for the faint of heart, mind you, but it's definitely an experience.
And of course, no trip to Cairo would be complete without a ride in a traditional black and white taxi. Just be prepared to channel your inner haggler and brush up on your Arabic numerals. Now, before we whisk you away on a whirlwind tour of ancient wonders and culinary delights, let's have a quick chat about staying safe and savvy in the land of the pharaohs. Egypt is, by and large, a safe and welcoming destination for travellers, but a little bit of awareness goes a long way, wouldn't you agree?
First things first, let's outsmart those pesky pickpockets. Keep your valuables close, preferably in a money belt worn under your clothing. Crowded markets and tourist hotspots are their favorite hunting grounds, so be extra vigilant in those areas. And speaking of markets, be prepared for a friendly haggling match. It's all part of the fun, but remember to keep a sense of humor and don't be afraid to walk away if the price isn't right.
Now let's talk scams. Be wary of anyone approaching you with unsolicited offers, whether it's a too-good-to-be-true tour guide or a suspiciously cheap camel ride. Stick to reputable operators and don't be afraid to ask for recommendations from your hotel or fellow travellers. And lastly, a little local knowledge goes a long way. Learning a few basic Arabic phrases, even just hello and thank you, will not only come in handy, but also show respect for the local culture. Right then, adventurers, let's talk timing. When it comes to exploring the land of pharaohs, choosing the right season can make all the difference between a sweltering desert trek and a pleasantly balmy adventure. Now, Egypt's a sun-drenched beauty year-round, but for those who prefer their explorations without a side of heatstroke, the sweet spot is between October and April. During these months, the weather's pleasantly warm, ideal for exploring ancient ruins, cruising down the Nile, and even venturing into the desert without melting like an ice cream cone in a sandstorm. Think balmy days, perfect for strolling through bustling markets, crisp evenings ideal for sipping mint tea under a star-studded sky, and just the right amount of sunshine for all those envy-inducing holiday snaps. Now, if you're particularly sensitive to the heat, it's best to avoid the peak summer months of June to August. Trust me, even a seasoned desert explorer like myself finds it a tad toasty during that time. Remember, planning is half the adventure, and choosing the right season for your Egyptian escapade will ensure you return home with memories of ancient wonders, not sunburnt shoulders. Well, there you have it, folks. Our whirlwind Egyptian adventure has come to an end, and let me tell you, it's been a journey we won't soon forget. From the moment we gazed upon the majestic Pyramids of Giza to our laughter-filled camel ride through the desert, Egypt has captured our hearts and left an indelible mark on our souls.
We've marveled at ancient wonders, navigated bustling markets, and embraced the warmth and hospitality of the Egyptian people.
We've feasted on delicious cuisine, danced to the rhythm of traditional music, and created memories that will last a lifetime. But more than anything, we've discovered that Egypt is a land of contrasts, a place where ancient history seamlessly blends with modern life, where bustling cities give way to tranquil desertscapes, and where adventure awaits around every corner.
So what are you waiting for? If you're looking for a family adventure that combines culture, history, adventure, and a healthy dose of sunshine, then Egypt should be at the top of your travel list. Don't be daunted by the thought of planning a trip to such an exotic destination. With a little research and a spirit of adventure, you'll be amazed at how easy it is to create your own unforgettable Egyptian escapade. Start by researching the best time to visit, book your flights and accommodation, and then let your wanderlust guide you. Whether you're exploring the ancient wonders of Cairo, cruising down the Nile, or simply soaking up the sun on the Red Sea coast, Egypt promises an adventure for all ages. So go on, take the plunge. Egypt awaits, ready to weave its magic and leave you with memories to treasure for a lifetime. Safe travels and happy adventuring.